Shedeur Sanders is projected to be the starter for the preseason, and to really show what he needs to do. And a lot of people had asked me, like, what does he need to do to be on this roster, right? And so, to be honest, I love everything that Shedeur has been doing this offseason. As much crap as we gave J.J. McCarthy and Shedeur Sanders, it's always been their on-field play. A little bit with Shedeur, though, it rubbed me the wrong way in college when he talked about his former teammates and like called out his offensive line. You didn't see JJ doing that type of stuff. JJ just, to me, talent-wise, it just wasn't as good as the other quarterbacks. And I kind of kept it as that. But when we move on to Shedeur Sanders, the attitude adjustment, and then he gets the speeding ticket, right? But everything that he's been saying, the way that his teammates have been talking about him, I'm super excited that he's starting to turn the corner. And I don't wish anything bad. I hope he goes out there and proves me wrong. I hope J.J. McCarthy goes out there and proves me wrong. But I digress, right? The things that he needs to do in this preseason games, he needs to prove, most importantly, out of everything that I've seen on film, is that he needs to prove that he can adjust to the NFL speed. Look, the processing in college was already slow. And I don't understand why people could sit there and watch a Colorado game and say, wow, that was an amazing pass, without saying, wow, that took him forever to throw the ball. He was like top, quote me if I'm wrong, I think he was like top 15 in time to throw, but people want to say his offensive line sucked. A lot of that was due to him dancing around and trying to figure out who to throw it to, Travis Hunter or Jimmy Horn, LaJohntay Wester every once in a while. But Travis was his main target. You could tell that's the person that he wanted to throw to all the time. Guess what? You don't have Travis Hunter on the squad. So we'll get into what I feel like he needs to do from there from a throwing aspect. But I would love to see him be more mobile. As far as being mobile upfield, we've seen all the dancing around. I seen the one game where he literally ran out of bounds, one short past the line of scrimmage, and then his kicker came out there and missed it by one yard, basically. And I just, it blew my mind. He has to be unselfish, and he has to understand that every inch in the NFL counts. The hash marks are not the same, and things are going to happen to your offensive line because they're not going to win every single rep. So how are you going to account for that when your guy isn't open downfield, right? We understand, and we've heard the aspect of Dillon Gabriel. If you guys haven't seen it, Dillon Gabriel had a bad practice, and everybody's like, well, everybody is so high on Dillon Gabriel. The Browns are so high on Dillon Gabriel, but he didn't have the best of practice. Well, we're only pointing out one practice right now. You know what I'm saying? And there's been plenty news around how Shedeur hasn't been all that great in some of the practices either. But no, I'm a Dillon guy, and if you can only point out one bad practice out of all the practices that he's had, I don't know. This is what the media does, guys, and I try to stay away from this. But while Dillon has had a down practice, Shedeur needs to come out in this game and be flawless from the start. I mean, every single throw needs to be accurate. He needs to process well. He can't get rattled, because the experience that Dillon has that he's going to come in this game with is going to be different than what Shedeur is used to, right? And, of course, he's got more of the intangibles than Dillon has. So Dillon's going to be fighting against the grain with his height. And people say it's questionable arm talent, which I don't think he has. But Shedeur's got to be flawless in this game. There's no other way to slice it, right? I get away from the whole – there's been people talking about, what do you think about this person being X, Y, and Z on the depth chart? I don't give a shit about the depth chart right now because it's not the final depth chart of what they're going in on the season. So I don't really care. I'm not going to jump the rope because Shedeur is at the number 4 spot. We don't really know how these coaches feel about him. It could be psychological warfare for all we know. And to go back on my point of him not having a Travis Hunter on the team, he needs to utilize every receiver possible on the field. If they're open, you got to throw it. You got to throw the check down. You got to throw to the open guy to advance the ball upfield. This is not Colorado. You're not playing, these rinky-dink FCS schools that you used to play. You're not at Jackson State anymore. You didn't show this a lot at Colorado. It was obvious when you were honed in on somebody, that's all that you did. You target them over and over and over. I broke this down on film. That's what he does, and people tend to ignore that. But not only being flawless, you have to spread the ball around to everybody on the field. And if you don't do that, the Browns are due to fail with you being in your first game. And it also doesn't make any of your receivers that are young too any better, right? So that's sort of my case there with Shedeur Sanders. Let's get over to these comments, man. Appreciate everybody checking in. 13 deep right now. Appreciate every single one of you guys. I don't get people dissing Trayvon Walker. He had 24 sacks in 3 years. Yeah, it's people that don't watch football. Shedeur been pretty, and it's funny, the people that don't watch football are the ones that pull up stats, but when it comes up to bringing stats to prove a point, they never do that because they don't care about the Jaguars or football enough, but say that they do. Newsflash. Welcome to ECG. Shedeur's been pretty accurate. Yeah, he's been pretty good from what I've seen. In my opinion, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be the best wide receiver from last year's draft. I hope you're right, man. He really proved me wrong, and I really love having him on the team. So I would say I was kind of wrong about Brian Thomas Jr. and his development. I was actually higher on him before I broke him down even more on tape. And I think Dylan remembers this. I was higher on Brian Thomas Jr. than Malik Neighbors. And then I watched the tape and I was like, I don't know if that's true. But I did say I like Kyron Lacy. Rest in peace to him. I drafted Hunter in the 6th round of wide receiver fantasy. That's what's up, man. Good luck to you, good sir. People always hate on Dylan Gabriel. They do. His brother follows us. So shout out to him and his brother. Dylan says, why are the Browns doing this, in your opinion? Not a single first-team rep in training camp, but he gets the start in preseason. I'm baffled. There was actually a practice where I believe it was the start of this camp where he actually got first-team reps, but there wasn't a lot. I don't know. Dude, this situation is so weird to me, Dylan, to be completely honest with you, bro. I absolutely have no idea why they're not utilizing Shedeur in other facets, but are going to give him the start. And it's almost like you're throwing him in the Lions den, to be completely honest, because he's not going to have any chemistry with these guys, but I don't know what his practice habits are outside of everything.